Every brand tells a story. And they are the storytellers. The Sutradhars. They present a brand with band, baja and barat to you. They are the Brandwalas. He heads the India arm of the company that makes one of the world's most iconic mobile phone brands. Ravi, CEO and Vice President for India and Asia Pacific at HMD Global, the Finnish mobile phone manufacturer best known for bringing the Nokia brand back to life. Under his leadership, the company has re-entered competitive markets with a portfolio of Nokia-branded smartphones and feature phones, and has also launched its own brand of HMD mobile phones as well. With over 25 years of experience, he previously led sales and marketing for Microsoft mobile devices and services in India and held various senior roles at Nokia India, Whirlpool and Samsung. He is our Brandwala.
Nokia has always stood for reliability, durability, and that's a big plus when the consumers are looking to buy a phone. A lot of emphasis we do is on local influencer and the local content, and in the language which the consumer is understanding. I want to win, okay, and that's why I want to come to office and do a lot of stuff. India is developed as a center for excellence, where a lot of our supply chain, a lot of our R&D is kind of shifting out from China to India.
Welcome, you are watching the Brandwalas. I am Krishnakumar and we are in conversation with Mr. Ravi, CEO and Vice President India and the Asia Pacific region for HMD Global. Ravi, great to have you with us here on the Brandwalas. I'm going to begin by asking you a very simple question. HMD Global as a brand today stands for, human mobile devices, HMD, isn't it?
So far, HMD Global, our organization, was known for bringing in the iconic Nokia devices. But as a part of our new multi-brand strategy, we are now also bringing in the HMD branded devices, which is the feature phones, the smartphones, the tablets, the accessories to the global audience.
And that includes for India and the world, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Can you talk to us about the fact that you have now two brands under your umbrella? One is Nokia. There is nobody in the world who does not know the name of Nokia when it comes to mobile phones, and now you have HMD mobile phones. Tell us, how are you doing this double act, so to speak?
So absolutely, you're right. Nokia needs no introduction. I think it's an iconic brand which continues to stay in the heart of the consumers. And thanks to the efforts which HMD has put in the last 8 years in terms of bringing in the iconic Nokia devices to the consumers, and they still love it very much. But equally, I think there is a growing need, for, especially among the Gen Z and the millennials, in terms of how do you further differentiate? How do you actually personalize some of the stuff on the product? And that's where the dual brand strategy is kind of really helping us as an organization.
Okay, so then tell us for the plans for HMD per se, what is the distribution plan or marketing plan? What are the markets you're targeting with HMD brand of mobile phones?
So if I specifically talk about India and APAC, we are widely present across, especially in India, almost we have 1,000 distribution points, and it is sold on almost 100,000 plus retail outlets. And we follow an omni-channel strategy, where it's not just the mom and pop shops and the organized retail, but we are very much present as far as the online channel is concerned, whether it's the Amazons or the Flipkarts of the world. One interesting fact is a lot of consumption of mobile phones has gone up on the quick commerce. So you search for a Nokia or a HMD product on Blinkit and it will be delivered to you in 5 minutes flat. And besides that, we also run our own .com platform, hmd.com, where it's available. So from a distribution and reach perspective, it's widely available. The way Nokia brand is available across all our outlets. And even if I was to extend it beyond India into markets like Indonesia, Vietnam, Singapore, Thailand, Australia, New Zealand, the product is present everywhere. So it's omnipresent from a distribution perspective.
How are you doing the brand story for HMD? What is the communication strategy behind the house, the house that makes Nokia, also making HMD or human mobile devices? What exactly are you telling the consumers?
So Nokia has always stood for reliability, durability, and that's a big plus when the consumers are looking to buy a phone.
Okay.
To add on to that, how do you add that color, that vibe, that differentiation, whether it's on the product or the emotional connect, which is a logical extension of what Nokia has on HMD, is something what we are trying to drive, both on the product platform in terms of what features we bring in, and our ability to connect to the wider mass in India. Because there are two spectrums on which we operate as a brand. So one is obviously a wide range of feature phones, which are essentially consumed in tier 2, tier 3 towns. And there is a specific audience which needs a different kind of a connect, which is more emotional, while they'll need the product to deliver. But that's where you need as a brand to have an emotional connect, and they still need to feel the durability on an HMD brand. So a very recent campaign which we did with our brand ambassador Jimmy, and the idea of getting in Jimmy is that his persona resonates with the kind of consumers who would be using that kind of a category of phones across a lot of our rural consumers. So a recent campaign we did was for HMD 130 and 150. And as you see here, the campaign says, "Up India Sunega Loud." And the whole campaign was based that India is a very noisy country. And here people want to listen loud. So it was not around the technical jargon that it will give you this camera, this spec, that spec, but it was centered around the basic feature that the speaker is so loud that you don't need anything else. And it's more of a classic, that 90s setting where the speaker and the loudness of the phone becomes the hero of the film and delivers the stated objective. So I think that's the campaign where we're trying to again take that emotive route, connect with what we say is Bharat, not India, and take the brand forward. So for us, HMD is not, it's different in different state. And it's not that we are trying to dilute the overall brand messaging, but we are kind of breaking it down by state in terms of what is the relevant form of creative and communication route which we use for HMD. And that's working really well for us. Equally on the smartphone space, if you look at it, people make more rational decisions in terms of why I need to buy this. So there, I think our approach has been, it's more product centric, and then you hook in with the emotional connect on the brand.
If you're working across states in the country,
Yes.
you were designing campaigns meant for that milieu, that language, and that culture?
Yes. In fact, if you look at even the social media outreach which we have, a lot of emphasis we do is on local influencer and the local content, and in the language which the consumer is understanding, and that's kind of really working well. I think in the month of February we had this Mahakumbh. I think it was one mega celebration across the country where probably half of the country's population took the holy dip, and that's where we used this social influencer campaign where the entire country was kind of united behind what's happening in Kumbh, but in a content and in a creative and in a language which was understood locally. So I think it's kind of working really well for us.
Anything recent, when Nokia is competing with so much more competition than it used to back when it did the Gyaraso campaign?
Yeah, so obviously I think the landscape has changed. From being a dominant player, this industry is now hyper competitive.
Yeah.
Now, whether it is on price points, whether it is on the way the brands are treated, And one of the key hook for any consumer to buy is the affinity to brand. And that's where we continue to innovate. The campaign which we had for our first 5G Nokia smartphone, which was the G42, that's a campaign which we did with Mronal. Again, actually captured the essence which I told you, how the product is differentiated, but how it's actually relatable to a common man is the kind of story we put in that campaign. And that's the kind of approach which we are taking for a Nokia brand, because in a market where everyone is shouting on specs and price, how do you differentiate? And I believe the right balance on what the product delivers in terms of the value, plus how do the product actually impact your life needs to be captured in your communication.
Tell us, what are some of the best marketing campaigns that you've worked on that you thought absolutely hit the nail on the head?
So again, taking the classic Nokia example, way back Nokia 1100, if I was to use, that's the term it was.
That's way back.
So Nokia 1100, and the campaign I think which we did as a team there was around the whole Made for India campaign. And the campaign was centered around the social fabric of India, and the ad actually traversed through the length and breadth of the country in terms of the creative which we used. And essentially, it put the consumer in the heart and mind of that product per se, where how the product was designed for Indian conditions. A simple thing like a torch, and I'm talking of torch way back, let's say 15 years, which was supposed to be a big feature in a mobile phone. How that actually... It
still is, we all end up using
it, but that was a primary feature, of course.
Yeah.
It's so how a simple product feature on like a torch and an anti-slip grip, which is so relevant for the Indian conditions, was transformed into a beautiful story of how the slice of life of the culture across India was taken into that. It still resonates with me as a campaign. So I think that's what's one. A few other campaigns, not necessarily from our, but as a marketer, you need to appreciate good work done across brands.
What is that all-time favorite advertisement or brand campaign or the marketing initiative that really inspires you and stays with you?
So I have probably not one but two such campaigns which ring a bell in my, and again it kind of goes way back to I think 1997 if I'm not mistaken. That's the Apple Think Different campaign which was launched. Black and white, but I think what it forced the people to do is look beyond the ordinary, and that ad actually looked at people who were different, who challenged the system. Okay, and they were creative, they were bold enough to take decisions, and that's what the campaign did. And in the end, it says think different. Whether you get a Charlie Chaplin in that film, whether there was Mahatma Gandhi, whether it was any other celebrity as a part of that film, were all people who made the difference by thinking differently. And that thing still resonates. And I think on the business front, post that, Apple, which was perceived as a computer company which was kind of dying, suddenly became the most innovative brand over a period of time. So I think that's one campaign which resonates with me. In recent times, if I look at, I'm pretty much enamored by the Fevicol campaign which has come in. And
so many people are around it.
Yeah. And it's not about an adhesive ad. It's the way it's been portrayed that it has cemented the place for that brand in the mind of Indian consumers. Whether it is the laughter, the fun elements, and how they visualize the usage of that product across various stratas of society.
It has replaced the word. It's not called adhesive anymore. It's called a Fevicol.
It's called a Fevicol. Fevicol ka jod tutega nahi, and that's the punchline. So I think those are campaigns which resonate with you. Multiple such creatives, whether it's a Coca-Cola, Thanda matlab Coca-Cola, where they're trying to actually own the category per se. I think are creative pieces which really excite a lot of us.
newspaper ads?
Yes, sometimes yes. So traditionally, it is about there's a lot of push from our sales team, and we keep asking, why do you need the ad? So obviously the retailers are happy when they see the ad, but I still believe that for certain product categories and certain occasions, you want to announce a price in the market, you want to announce a new product in the market, it helps.
Okay, so if I were to say, for Nokia smartphone, you will not do a print advertisement or a newspaper advertisement, but for the HMD feature phone, you will do a newspaper advertisement?
Well, yes and no, it depends. So it's there are no fixed rules, but obviously we'll be guided by what makes sense on that particular campaign.
Okay, it's all purely product specific.
Product specific, yeah.
Tell us, what according to you is the big buzz as far as the world of branding and advertising and marketing is concerned?
So these days, convergence is what I believe is the big one, because what's happening is this whole AI piece is making a lot of creative content much easy and faster accessible to marketeers, and definitely in terms of the faster rotation, whether it's on creative, whether it is on analytics, whether it is on multiple things around campaigns, that's where the AI will lead you to. But equally, I think what the consumers want is a sense of realism, a sense of human touch. And that's where human intelligence and human mobile devices kind of come in, and you need to marry both. So while let's say convergence will lead you from an AI perspective to a certain point, but then you have to then express the emotional intelligence as well. So convergence, I think, is going to work.
Convergence of artificial intelligence and human intelligence.
Human intelligence.
So that you think is the big buzz. Fascinating.
Big buzz.
What, according to you, is overhyped in the world of advertising, branding, and marketing, and hence is actually quite blah?
Yeah. So I believe some of and I call them vanity matrices. So having just an influencer number that I have so many million followers is a number itself. Now, what is that number actually doing for you? Is it relevant? Is there relatability? Is there connect? Will the consumer remain? So some of these metrics which we see have to be really drilled down to see whether they're creating the impact for the brand. And it's these days what's happening is that you swipe faster than you think. So the content which you are giving there for that number to be ticked has to be so relatable that you remember it. And I believe some of the metrics need to be relooked at, and they can't be just presented that, okay, here is your ROI because I had so many million followers.
You're talking about AI. I want to understand, how do you, use AI on a daily basis? What kind of tools do you use, in terms of, devising your own marketing strategies?
So basically, for us, it starts at the product stage itself before we kind of come to marketing, and obviously our being in technology space, the product roadmap itself is evolving in terms of how does a camera believes in a generative AI without going to a cloud. It actually adapts itself in terms of taking a simple picture. So there are multiple such things which we do on the product side. Now, as far as the marketing side is concerned, obviously the luxury of asking our agency to give us 5 options because of this generative AI is something which we rely on. But besides the marketing, I think one thing which I have started personally, and it's never too late to kind of adapt to new skills and things like that, is I do for myself what is called as reverse mentoring. So I have one of our Gen Z employees in the marketing team who coaches me every 7 days, every week, for 30 minutes on what's happening on this space. So whether it is a Playbook which is happening, or whether it is a generative AI, or how can I use a simple tool like ChatGPT more efficiently, whether for marketing or analysis, is what we encourage as an organization for each of our employees.
What is the one thing about your job that you love the most? The one thing that that really motivates you every morning when you wake up and you want to go to work?
See, one of the reasons is that I want to win, okay, and that's why I want to come to office and do a lot of stuff. But when I think that the nature of my job is that it's handling multiple markets, okay, so it starts from India, goes into Southeast Asia, goes all the way to ANZ, and that gives me an opportunity to have a multicultural, multi-country experience. And what I've realized is every day there are new insights when you talk to people there. Every customer is different. Every consumer in that market is kind of a different. And that's a big learning platform which kind of excites me, that every day there is something new to learn. And I think that's the biggest plus I take away from my job when I come every day in the market. So I'm really excited. Every day there's something new happening across such a wide geography.
What is the one thing about your job then that you don't like at all? We don't use the word hate on the show, so let me use a synonym. The one thing about your job that you detest the most, the one thing that you don't look forward to.
So, given the complexity of the industry, the job, there's never a dull moment. There is never a dull moment for me.
Okay, and that's a problem, and that's something you don't look forward to, because sometimes you want moments to be just sober.
Yes. So sometimes you want things to be predictable. Sometimes you want, okay, here's my me time. I sit back, relax, at least think differently. But you are always on the move, where there are fires burning. Not to say that there is no method to madness. But really, sometimes I wish there was that half an hour where there was nothing, there was peace. So yeah, that's comes with the job.
Tell us, for now, as far as HMD Global and Nokia is concerned, what are your biggest markets in India? And in terms of, you heard about, ask a split in terms of where do you sell the most?
Yeah, so
where a big chunk of your business come from?
So India itself is the biggest market for HMD globally, both in terms of revenue and net sales and things like that, and profitability. And of late, what we've started doing here in India is develop it as a center for excellence, where a lot of our supply chain, a lot of our R&D is kind of shifting out from China to India. So it's all China plus one strategy, which most of the companies are kind of following. We are also kind of acting fast on that. Now, within India, I think we are a dominant player as far as the feature phone is concerned. We are the value leaders. And it's not just one particular state or markets. As I said, we are present almost on 100,000 plus outlets. So we have a very dominant share in that field across the country. And if I was
to Nokia plus HMD.
Nokia plus HMD. And if I was to talk a simple state, a state like Kerala would have 65% plus share, just to give you an example on the feature phone category. Now, as far as smartphone is concerned, HMD is a very, very new brand, and we've just kind of launched 4 products in the last 6 months. And we do realize that both as a brand and as a product category, we have to do a lot before we kind of start getting into that whole consumer mind space and things like that. And that's why we work actively to get to that. So in terms of specific geographies, there are big markets for us. Obviously, there's a large Hindi-speaking belt, and then there's a southern belt where we kind of dominate. We want to grow in every district, every state.
So technically, as of now, you're a dominant presence more in South India than in North.
So I would say we have a stable presence and a growing presence across the country. Kerala is an example I gave you because it was an outlier, because it was almost at 65% share.
Wow. Okay, fair enough, which means it's a very spread out presence as far as the Indian market is concerned, and with a big focus on the feature phone market.
And in smartphone, there is a growth plan. There is obviously a solid growth plan. We are a new brand, and we are trying to get things right the first time for our consumers.
Tell us, what can we expect from Nokia in the near future?
So we will continue to bring the iconic devices. So there was this classic Nokia 3310. We recently came with
Snake game.
Yeah, Snake game. So it recently celebrated its 25th anniversary, and we introduced the newer version of 3310, which was the 3210. So all the iconic Nokia phones in their new avatars are now coming back to the global markets. We will continue to bring that because what is also happening is while everybody talks of smartphone and that segment is growing, there's close to 150 million odd consumers every year. But equally on feature phone, there are 60 to 70 million consumers who still consume feature phones. And they need something new, something innovative. And things like, simple thing like a UPI, which people thought is available only on, let's say, an expensive smartphone, is available on a Nokia HMD 1,000 rupee phone. So you go to any rural villages, if your phone has a simple camera, you can just scan and pay, and it's a seamless transaction. Those are the kind of innovations which is going to fuel growth. There is a big expansion happening on 4G, 5G across things. And even a feature phone user has access to content, access to entertainment, thanks to our cloud phone technology, where there's nothing residing on the phone, everything they can download through a 4G bandwidth on a feature phone. So people can continue to expect innovation. There is a large chunk of population which needs to transfer money, and what's the safest and most accurate. So multiple such projects happening, including on let's say categories like smartphone. How do you kind of bring in the same features, obviously at a lower cost, and if required on a compact design, if not compact but collapsible screen. Those are things I think the consumers can expect from us.
Fair enough. We will leave it at that. Ravi, Kunwar, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you for having me. Pleasure.